What's up everyone, it's Iceman Oz, aka Jay, and in this video I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Battlefield 1 beta that has just been released, and I wanted to give you some of my first impressions of it so far. Of course, my opinions can change and things will change within the game on the full release, but I wanted to give you some of my thoughts so far and a couple of things that they can change and some things that they've done really well with the game that I've seen thus far. The first thing that you'll notice regarding Battlefield 1 is it does look great. There have been updated textures from the alpha, which makes the game look even that much more amazing. The map that we're playing on as well is very reminiscent of a Battlefield 2 map. Very short corridors, and it's actually surprisingly infantry-centric even on the Conquest game mode. I was shocked to see how many times I would get into gunfights with other people, and that is not really the case in traditional Battlefield, at least in the past few iterations like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, where they would be vehicle dominated. Now, the other map that we played in the alpha was very much vehicle dominated, but this one was really infantry centric, and the places that the vehicles can go are only in particular spots, where on the other side, the infantry can go into particular areas where the vehicles can't, which means there's actual gunfights happening, which is great map design. And the biggest issue that I had regarding the game, if you've seen my alpha videos, was the netcode. Now, I have the same ping in the beta as I did in the alpha, and I'm actually still getting really good results. My hit registration is pretty good. You'll see on screen, I do still have those two little icons on the top right hand corner, but it doesn't seem to be impacting me at all. My ping was hovering at around 170 to 250 on US servers, and then obviously a lot lower on Australian servers, but there aren't many Australian servers going. But on the US ones, the ping isn't amazing, obviously, because I am from Australia, but the performance was still pretty good. Frame rates, I was getting good results on my Titans. Other people were experiencing optimization issues though, so you may have that on PC. For console, I'm not entirely sure yet because I haven't been able to try it out. Those of you on console, leave in the comments section below how the game is performing regarding netcode and the frame rate. I'm very interested to see how it's performing, and then we'll do a comparison based on top of that. But briefly going back to the netcode, I realized that in the alpha, I wasn't getting the full game, right? We are getting closer to the full game, and when you do play the beta, it is more of a demo, because how many changes can actually be made in a month, right? There's not going to be a huge array of changes that will be made within the game, so this is pretty much what we're going to get, and early impressions are actually surprisingly good. Now, back in Battlefield 4, in the beta stage, I had serious issues with the netcode. I feel like they are way above what they were comparatively to Battlefield 4. Now, that obviously can change, in my opinion, can change on that in time, but right now, that's where I see it. One issue, though, that I have noticed is the vaulting. Now, this has been a classic problem within the Frostbite engine, which is what Battlefield runs on, where if you try to vault over something, it will just drag you back to where you were, and you'll just be in a repeated cycle. This has prevented Battlefield from being a competitive game for a long time. This is one of many aspects, but this is one of the main aspects, because if you're trying to get to a location and you want to vault over something, you keep going back, I mean, you can be killed in that time that you continuously try to vault. Anything can happen. You don't get to the objective in time. It really destroys the meta of the game, and it's just a really clunky thing that happens, right? So it's something that's very much prevalent in the beta so far. I've seen it more than I've ever seen it in Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4. Hopefully it is addressed on release, but right now, whenever I try to vault over something or try to climb up on something, it always drags me back. But as the saying goes, first impressions are always the most important, and I'm actually surprisingly happy with what I've seen so far. I think that if anyone is frustrated with the game, they should do what I did and just take a break from Battlefield. I noticed that when I stopped playing Battlefield for a long time, it really reinvigorated me, and I enjoy the game a lot more when I spend a lot of time away from it. If you constantly grind at it and go from game to game, so let's say you play Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4, you're just not going to have as much fun of a time from my experience, unless you're just grinding on one particular game where you get amazing at it. If you're going from from like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 to Hardline, you're not going to be really good at any of them because you haven't put your focus on any of them. And that was a mistake that I made personally. But overall, my early opinion is very much positive. I'm very surprised that they really gave a map that was infantry-centric on Conquest. I'm really impressed with that. One thing to note on the Rush mode, I haven't had too much experience, so I'm not going to make an outlandish statement, although very early, over a couple of games, it seemed decent, although there will almost certainly be things that pop up with that as well, but I'm not going to be definitive on that because I haven't had enough time on Rush. But on Conquest, I've had plenty of games, and it is actually, I think, the map that we're playing on is genuinely good. The Sandstorm, though, can be very annoying. That is one thing to keep in mind. It does block a lot of your vision. It was the same problem with Dust Bowl, if you remember in Battlefield Hardline. That was super problematic, but you know, that does come with the territory, I suppose. I think they could have done better without it, but, you know, that's kind of the way it goes. The other thing you have to note is the winning team actually doesn't get the train that comes through the center. There's like a train that comes through the center of the map, and it can lay havoc upon the winning team. So the losing team gets this train that goes through. It's pretty powerful. It's kind of like the blimp on that other map. You get access to the blimp, and it's super OP. Well, not OP, but it's very strong, right? It's a catch-up mechanic so that the games are closer. I understand why they do it, but I don't know, it kind of, there's this thing that happens in Battlefield where people will intentionally stay behind, like they'll intentionally be losing the game up until the point where the drop comes, whether it's the blimp or the train, and then they'll get ahead so they can keep the train and get the kills. That's actually something that happens, but with that being said, that's my first impression so far. Leave yours in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe if you're new to this channel for all the latest on Battlefield 1 gameplays, if you're into them, live gameplays, reviews of weapons. We did all of that in Battlefield 4, so expect the same here in Battlefield 1. But with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, share, subscribe, and peace.